Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Terrace Podcast. I am your host, a happy but hungover Craig Fowler, and I am joined by a man who I would assume also fits that description, Tony Anderson. You were there with me at Hampden.
hmm
We're recording this on Saturday. I'm probably going to release it on Sunday, but on Friday night, a great evening out in general, which we'll talk about, as well as Scotland's 1-0 victory over Croatia, with John McGinn getting the only goal of the game with 4 minutes remaining after Petar Sucic was sent off for the Croats in the first half. Tony, what what moment that was when the ball finally hit the back of the net.
I A relief, I
Yeah.
think, was the overriding sort of description for everyone in there, because I think most people had resigned that it wasn't going to happen. I think everyone had just. I think a lot of people thought that Croatia were still going to score a goal.
Aye.
Maybe just the lack of faith of what's been going on. Things haven't really been going our way. But that's a fucking massive result, just in isolation. Even if, not even worrying about finishing second or
Yeah.
not getting relegated, just in isolation is a football match. Because I was thinking like last night was maybe the last time we might have had a full stadium for a game like that.
Mm.
I think it was pushing to that line of where you were about to lose the sort of fair weather Scotland fans. I think like people are just the buzz maybe disappear.
Like
So I
us,
think,
basically, like
but
us.
yeah, people like us, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And like the buzz would disappear, and people wouldn't ask themselves about these sort of games anymore. So I think it's a huge game in that, and it gives Clark the space to really create this sort of maybe what Telfer coined that he was saying this is maybe Clark's 3.0. We're on his third version
Yeah.
of a Scotland lineup, and this will buy him the time and the faith to put that into action, really.
Yeah, and it was also yeah, because that's the key thing you say, buying them some time, because it's been so long since we won a competitive match, and it was also just how the game went. Like, say we played well, say it was just like every other game in this Nations League campaign so far, in which we played well but didn't really get anything out of it, or just got a draw. But it was the fact that they went down to 10 men and went down to 10 men in the first half. And then you're like, we said that at half time, was like, Clark needs to win this game now. This is
The
now
pressure.
a must win match. If he
Uh,
doesn't win that, fans are no going to be happy at all. And the pressure would have increased on him massively. But thankfully, it ended up, we did get the result. And there's also, and yeah, just what you're saying as well about the kind of 2.0, sorry, 3.0 with Clark. Because you are starting to, I think a lot of people have been, and understandably so, a bit frightened is probably maybe the best way to describe it, of the near future and what's going to happen, because a lot of the kind of classic Clark team are aging out. They're getting older, and you're looking, and the talent coming through. There's maybe not a lot of depth there, but when you've got Billy Gilmore, who's still at a very young age, and then obviously Ben Doak, that type of performance was just, it just gives so much more hope that, oh yeah, we might still remain a good side for a good few years yet, because he's a player that's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders, because
mhm.
there's so much hype about him, and he's a Scotland player who is a very good attacker, and we've not had that. Like a young player coming through
Mm.
who's got the potential to be like a proper world class talent, and he displayed some of that on Friday because he was superb.
So here's this is the difference. Doak's actually everything that epitomised last night is Clark said that after the game himself that this was probably our worst performance
Mm-hmm.
in the whole of the Nations League
Yeah,
campaign.
definitely. It was.
But now this is the thing. I was saying to you last night, fellas. Like whenever I watch Scotland, everything has to be earned. Like
Yeah.
you didn't score, you don't score lucky goals, you don't score individual great goals. You have to smash the fucking door down to get anything. I always feel like when we win, we have to like suffocate teams.
Yeah.
Like it's just fucking aggression and energy and just fucking shit up intensely to get to the point where you get a goal. But last night, having a guy who can beat someone and get to the byline shows even playing shit, we're able to beat a decent team, a pretty good team at home, literally because we finally got a guy who's going to like be a match winner and can beat someone who can maybe just do it kind of on his own. Because it did get to the stage where it was just let's get the fucking ball out to Doak. Just get
Yeah.
the ball out to Doak. He's got Vardiol on toast, which is great, which is like a really fun part of this, because obviously Vardiol, after sort of Modric, Vardiol's sort of like probably Croatia's best player and sort of biggest sort of future hope. He's possibly one of the best defenders in the world at the moment in terms of his output at Man City. And he wanted fuck all to do with Doak, because it was Baturina that was the winger, number 16. Vardiol was having him try to deal with them and letting him come back. I watched the highlights again, and so many times it's actually Baturina who's going out to him, and Vardiol's tucking in because he doesn't want to go one-on-one with Doak. And it isn't until later in the game that Doak starts to get Vardiol all the time, and he's just got him on toast. He's got him on toast every single time, which is such a fucking great thing to see, because if he can have him on toast, then it pretty much means he can have anyone on toast on his day, which is great.
There's a few more players to get to, but we're just going to say this now. We're just going to jumping about a bit, but it's just while it's still in my mind, because I don't want us to complete this podcast without telling this story that a mutual friend of ours. What was it he put in the group chat? It was like, Zagreb looks nice tonight. He was watching the wrong stream of the game. He was watching the previous match.
He was my mate Andy was because I saw it, but you know you can't really get much internet in Hampden when it's absolutely rammed. So I saw him put it, and I thought he was joking. I never went, and then it isn't until an incredible night in Zagreb. Looks lovely is the quote. And then he's just at halftime, I've been watching the wrong game. Cunts just told me Alex Salmon's deed. I thought he was joking, but he watched a full half of the game in Zagreb. I think it's obviously that he must have heard that people started talking about the red card, that he realised that he was watching the wrong game. So that's an absolutely just what incredible. And this is what happens when you force people to YouTube. People are going to end up watching FIFA games without realising. So this is the issue when you can't have it on a bloody normal TV channel. Poor Andy. Missed half the game. I
think the other story to tell for last night is so we got a ticket. It was quite late. Where it was somebody I knew on Facebook was selling Scotland tickets, so and I hauled you through from Edinburgh for it, and we had a night of it. We met Sean before the game as well. Sean and his missus, and also in the Lauriston beforehand. We popped into Lauriston for one, and you got offered cocaine by a guy who was in his 80s.
That was absolutely mental. I went outside for a cigarette. I just nipped outside. I was waiting on you, so I'd bought 2 pints, nipped in, and the guy's like, "How you doing, mate?" And I'm like, "Aye, all right, aye." And he's like, "What you through here for? What you did in this pub? All that sort of stuff." And eventually, like, what time you been at? He's like, I've been drinking here for 30 years. So I was like, what time did you get here the day? And he was like, 11:30. I was like, all right, you've already put a shift in. He's like, I went to him earlier. And honestly, it must have been about 75, 80. And I was like, did you not pay him for a nap first? He's like, nah. And starts tapping his nose, doing that sign. All right. I'm stunned. He's like, you want some? I'm okay, sir. I'm just going to go back to my friend. Aye, incredible stuff.
We had that, and then we had
Glasgow's
we had that.
It's a different place.
Yeah, aye. Glasgow is certainly a different place. So we had that, and then we had the fucking living off license standing in front of us at the match. The guy that just kept pulling baby out and just kept handing us it. He was like a hotel fridge. He had loads of fucking. Just had so many miniatures, man. He was just pulling them out absolutely nowhere. And I had a good time last night. As I said, that I thought the atmosphere was pretty good going towards the game, and I thought the fans did stick with it, and they're having a laugh, and there was a lot of slagging off Croatia because they done like they had the pyro out, but it was basically just fucking sparklers, the Croatian fans. And obviously, like an Eastern European team, you always think are meant to be quite daunting with the fans, but it looked really quite shit. I missed that bit because I went for
everyone started slagging them off.
I could hear the fans saying, "What the fucking hell is that?"
Yeah. That was good fun because we were right beside the Croatia fans in there. But yeah, it was a good evening. I got to see Cathcart Park. We had walked past that in the dark, which was quite cool when we were Sean. So I'm glad I came through because I was like, Shala, kind of the board, and eventually it was good. I've seen us beat Israel recently. I've seen us beat Spain recently. I've seen us beat Croatia. recently. I would have liked some of that to Easter Road, thanks. But maybe for
it was
like
quite speaking of which, it was quite a good experience for both of us as well to watch sit at a football game together because we obviously support different club teams, so that doesn't happen.
I was actually, I don't know if I've ever been to a football match. Maybe a stag do and to see Everton or something.
Yeah. I remember that.
But just nobody just sat in like the worst seats in the entire place.
At the back row, the bottom tier, and you're basically watching the game through a letterbox.
Yeah, and it was 3-3. It was like a brilliant game. I couldn't fucking see any of it. So it was so that was unique, and the guy in front of us just doing all that. Some laddie, him, nice guy. But yeah, so it was a very enjoyable night. What did you think about Clarke going for? I suppose the main ones we would talk about are Hanley, McLean, and Conway would be the ones that people might have opinions on. So what were your feelings about that?
So McKenna's out, isn't he? Yeah, McKenna.
No, he came on, did he not?
No, he came on. You're right. Sorry, McKenna came on. He came on.
He was good. He was better at getting us forward when he came on.
I would say that I would think at this stage, especially because Hanley isn't he playing at club level, and also it just kind of feels McKenna and Suter it's starting to feel like a kind of solid partnership at centre half going forward. Obviously not brilliant. Like you probably want that level to be higher, but at the same time, Suter's kind of starting to really kind of come into his own a bit recently.
I think there's a conversation to be had that I think Suter's actually he's had a few errors, but on the whole, I think he's having a good season. He's certainly in his performances for Scotland specifically recently have been really, really good. Suter when he's at his best looks like a really class player when he's at his best. He's one of those. There's quite a large disparity between his best and his worst.
Yeah,
with Suter. So like he's a player that I think he's a player that stands out basically in one shape, in one form or another when you go and watch him.
He was very good. He was very good on Sunday. So what are the other ones you're asking? Yeah, the big one obviously McGinn being left out of the starting 11, and it was about time really. He's not been in good form for Scotland for a while now, and it's a lot of it. To be fair, is not really his fault because he's been asked to play. Like we played him so much as a number 10 in that kind of 3-4-3 system with him and McTominay supporting the striker. And the reason we've done it, it's obvious. We've done it because we need. He's a goal threat.
Sorry, attacking. Yeah.
He's a goal threat, and so he gets pushed further forward up the park because we lack that, and so we kind of need that in the team, or at least we did.
We've got quite a few midfielders as well, so there's
So but kind of that affected his performances, and then also since Clarke's kind of changed things and gone with the 4, he's been stuck out wide as well, and that doesn't obviously suit him either. His best position is as a number 8, and it's just there's no real. And we're talking about this at the game, like talking about McLean, and you were saying like surely it just kind of makes sense to have McGinn and Gilmore there as the kind of sitting. I was like, yeah,
at
but
some point.
But I was saying like I think that's something we should definitely be doing against teams we're expected to beat. But in some of the tougher games in like the Nations League campaign, obviously we're in the highest tier, so every game's been really tough. But I think Clarke just likes having McLean in there with Gilmore, somebody else who's got a bit more of that poise on the ball, a bit better passer, a bit more composure in there, and it helps us. Not very well, but didn't really work that well on Friday because we were quite shit when it was 11
first half, especially, yeah.
When it was 11v11, but generally that helps us more keep possession, and have a foundation to play off of.
And it would be unfair to McLean, who's going through his best period as a Scotland player, in my opinion, in terms of his performances. Maybe until the first half yesterday, the 3 or 4 games before that, he's been brilliant. Really, arguably been one of our best players. So, but I think it's maybe a good thing for McGinn, and it's obviously turned out as a masterstroke because McGinn came on and was good.
Yeah,
not just the goal. McGinn was good when he came on. He was an improvement on Christie, especially in an attacking sense, because Christie done the thing about Christie is there's always a bare minimum you get with Christie in terms of his pressing, his work rate, his defensive ability. But he wasn't like the left hand side wasn't doing well. Attack. Both of them actually, Robertson and Christie were both defending very well and extremely pissed going forward. The pair of them.
Robertson's crossing was like Andy Robertson at his worst at times. It's like, Jesus.
When he drove forward when we were counter-attacking, he tried to pass the Doak, he just kicked it over his head out the park. Andrew, Please roll it to him, man. I don't know why you're fucking lifting it anyway. But yeah. So McGinn came on, and interesting enough, he got dropped from Aston Villa last week as well when they were playing Liverpool. And obviously he's the captain, and he spoke that he's been getting a bit of stick from Emery about his performance, like even before he got injured, because he had a bit of a relatively long term, maybe 6 weeks or something there for Villa. And he said that Emery was pulling him up, saying that you're going to have to play better if you want to stay in the team. So he's gone through a bit of form recently in both parts, and like getting dropped, it can be good for a player, especially a player who's sort of like has good emotional intelligence. Like McGinn, he's not a stroppy guy.
No.
You would expect a lot from himself. So you would feel that he's the kind of guy who'd react well to being dropped rather than vice versa. And he came on, he had a huge impact, and the goal was it's a brilliant finish. Like you don't respect it at the time, but when you watch it back, that could easily go fucking wrong. Easily go wrong.
Yeah, actually, when Rory Hamilton says it himself on the commentary, he's like, can McGinn keep it down? Because it does look like, as he shapes to hit it, you're kind of like, oh no, this looks like it's going miles over the bar. But he does.
Like he changes to use his instep.
Yeah.
He changes to use his instep. I think it's obviously like a last second, like, I need to make sure I get this on target, even if I don't get the same amount of power as you would like. So that's to be fair to Clarke, it ends up looking like a masterstroke. Dropping McGinn and then bringing him on, and I'm getting the winner like that.
I like that Conway started because he has been in decent form this season, and that's not something you can really say about our forwards, especially about Adams being out as well.
And Dykes can't get a game in League One in England. Shanklin's like a ghost. Literally,
Shanklin has been space jammed.
Yeah, so like I think it was the right thing to do, and it's good. It's good when Clarke does stuff like that, because sometimes you know he's got favourites, and you worry sometimes. Favourites and building a club atmosphere is a really good thing, and it's something a country like us needs to do to sort of play above itself. And I get that, but sometimes it does like go too far where you're like, this favourite thing's maybe detrimental to the stage. So it's good to see that he was willing to do that. And although Conway didn't do particularly well, he was a bit hamstrung, considering like we couldn't get a fucking touch of the ball. Who is it when we created that one chance when Doak went down the right in the first half? Who hit the shot? Was it McTominay?
It was McTominay hit the shot, but it was Conway that released Doak.
Yeah.
But he got fouled as he played the ball to Doak, and then they played the advantage. And so Conway, that was his kind of best contribution. But yeah, I kind of thought you're right in that he didn't really get much
to go on.
And much service or much like assistance as well. Kind of like you looked a bit isolated at points, but at the same time, I was like, I kind of did think that I think we're better off with Dykes, better off with somebody when you're kind of struggling in a game like that and you're not really keeping the ball, just to like throw it up to him and I know sometimes when Dykes plays, we can get a bit too route one, but he's not great at making the ball stick because he's just a fucking pain in the arse for opposing defenders. With his size and work rate, and he's kind of athletic.
Who plays above himself for Scotland.
Yeah.
It's probably unusual, I would say, that Scotland has one of them. I always feel like there's Irish cunts that are like that. Like shitloads. So like Irish and Welsh players and that who are like who become like they're almost synonymous with international football rather than club football. And that's kind of happening with Dykes now. He's a Scotland player before he's a club player. I think if anyone who thinks Lyndon Dykes would picture him in a Scotland strip rather than any other club he's played for. So, but it'll be interesting, I think, with Conway and Doak. I think, again, similar to what you're talking about with McLean and McGinn, possibly, and like horses for courses and stuff. It might be quite interesting to see playing a mobile, sort of live wire striker like Conway against teams when we're be on top. Again, it's a bit more about options.
And to be fair to Conway as well, I think it's also just difficult because he's just not played a lot with his team, and it'll take time for the players around him to get used to his strengths and weaknesses and how we need to play when he's in the starting 11. So he's in very good form this season. So it's another reason to be optimistic for the future. But Tony, I think that'll do us. Just a wee kind of bonus podcast, an extra one this week for The audio will be on Patreon. The
It
video
was
will be
nice.
on YouTube.
It was nice seeing Modric
Yeah, aye.
in the flesh, and he was really good. He
Oh yeah,
was really good.
sorry. Before we wrap up, yeah, we didn't talk about the red card.
Oh yeah, I don't know. People seem to be saying it was a joke. I don't know. It looked like two bookings to me.
I thought the first one was harsh,
Aye,
but on a booking, the second one is definitely a booking.
aye.
He does pull out a little bit at the last minute, so I've got some sympathy for him, but it's just a stupid challenge to make, and
And then the rolling about the
catches him high.
ground.
He catches him high. So
And then a bit of rolling about on the ground, getting him sent off. We've got to behave that way. That's part of the game. So like you have to do it. It's like it should be part of the game, but if everybody else is doing it, you put yourself at a weakness if you don't behave that way.
As Jose Mourinho told these Tottenham players, you need to be cunts.
Aye. And on that note.
Yeah, that'll do us. Thank you very much for watching or listening, and thank you for your continued support of the podcast. We will talk to you again soon. Goodbye.
Cheers.